Boxing Voice.
All right. Well, good morning, Mr. Dibella. I wanted to ask, of course, obviously now with the negotiations with Canelo Alvarez and Miguel Cotto off, is Andy Lee, has he got any notice? Have they told you that possibly either a Cotto-Andy Lee unification or a Canelo?
No, not at all. No one, not a peep.
So is Andy Lee going to be going down the Billy Joe Saunders route?
We'll be announcing something with Andy in the next, I would say probably by the end of the week or early next week. We'll be announcing something with Andy shortly.
Last question on Andy, since you're already going to make your announcement. Is he going to be fighting here in the U.S. or in the U.K. or in Ireland?
That's part of what has to be decided. So
okay, fair enough.
We make the announcement. We'll announce it.
Fair enough. Well, regardless, you're involved in some interesting things. I mean, this week, last week. Actually,
I wouldn't call them interesting. I call them upsetting, to be honest with you.
Well, I was headed more down the NBC route. I know that you were
NBC. I'm sorry. That is interesting. Go ahead. So.
Yeah, I was seeing that you were at the press conference, and obviously, Al Haymon does a lot of business with you. You're one of his go-to promoters. So I wanted to see what this meant for you, or what have you been told, or what do you think is on the horizon for you with this new opportunity with the new network?
I think what's on the horizon is some very good fights on NBC with some very, very good production values. Like, I think it's produced by the same people that do the NFL games. The announced team headed by a legend in Al Michaels, and a legend that's Ray Leonard, and they're going to be adding somebody else to that announced team. I love the health and safety aspects of it. The Cleveland Clinic's involvement and the involvement of all the athletes that are going to be participating in that head injury study with the Cleveland Clinic. I think that the mandatory random drug testing for everybody fighting in the series is a good thing. But most importantly, I think it's a huge thing to be back on broadcast television. I think it's a huge, great thing for all of boxing, for everyone involved in boxing, even for the other networks doing boxing. It's been since I was a kid that you got big fights, either prime time or on Saturday afternoons on a broadcast network like NBC. So, the idea that HBO's great, premium cable's great, but HBO's in 30-odd million homes. NBC's in 100 million homes. It's free. It's eyeballs and it's free television. No one's paying. No one has to pay to get NBC. It's free. It's standard, and it's broadcast TV has a much greater reach. So I think the sport, good fights, good matchups, and I think you have to. If you're a boxing fan, you have to like the first announcement. I mean, those fights are good fights, fun fights, and quality fights with big names. So I think it's great for the whole sport. I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to potentially promote some shows, for NBC. I look forward to it, and I think it's a real positive for a real injection of life into the sport.
Now, obviously,
it's like Back to the Future, because years ago, like I said, when I was a kid, Ray Leonard, Hagler, Hearns, Duran, so many of these guys were built on, network TV. I mean, Greg Haugen and Bramble and Mancini, all those guys were built on network TV. So, I think this is a great opportunity for all the fighters that are going to be fighting on NBC.
Now, obviously, for those that don't know, what you're telling us, we have to take it on, we have to take your words to be pretty truthful because of your experience with HBO. I mean, long before Ken Hirschman, you were wearing that HBO hat, so you have firsthand experience with this. Do you think it's too soon to crown Al Haymon the savior? Because not too long ago, everyone thought he was ruining boxing, and now he comes in, like you said, with something with drug testing year round.
No one's a savior, and no one's a friggin' villain. I mean, it's just like people like to friggin' create labels in boxing. But I'll tell you this: I think this effort and what Al's trying to do here, you can't interpret it any other way is good for boxing. I mean, you can't. You have to be an idiot. Hold on 1 second. Hello? I'm sorry.
I'm here.
I mean, you can't look at this effort as anything but positive for the sport. Because what this effort is saying is that if we can get the sport back onto the biggest platform, if we can produce and present it, with the highest entertainment values, and if we can make good fights, then we should be able to attract more fans. And there's no question that on broadcast TV, we should be able to attract more fans. And that's a fucking noble effort, And it's not that NBC is throwing out gazillions and gazillions of dollars. Money's being invested to try to make boxing bigger. That's a positive, And the other thing is, I've been in the pay-per-view business. I ran HBO pay-per-view for a number of years, and I'm not opposed to pay-per-view. There are certain fights right now in this day and age that only work on pay-per-view. But that being said, when all your best product is going to pay-per-view, and when all your best product is on pay television, it's hard to grow your sport, particularly on pay-per-view, because, a small rating on broadcast television is equivalent to a huge number on pay-per-view. More people are going to see NBC shows than see most pay-per-view, 90% of pay-per-views. And maybe 95% of pay-per-views or 99% of pay-per-views. It's only the very biggest pay-per-views that do the kind of numbers you expect to see in prime time on NBC. So, I think that this is a tremendous opportunity for boxing to reach more of the Main Street fans. Like guys like you and I, we talk about boxing heads, We're the people on Twitter and social media writing about fights that no one gives a shit about. Like that's what we do because we're fans.
Yeah.
We're sitting there chatting up fighters that 99% of sports fans in America don't know who the fuck they are. And now basically like fighters that aren't household names but are known to us as quote unquote stars are going to have an opportunity to be exposed to the biggest possible audience on the biggest possible platform, broadcast TV. And that's that should allow us to get some fans from the casual sports fans because like right now we don't have that base of fans. Like our fans are the hardcore fans. They're not the the regular sports fan. We need to attract the regular sports fan. We need to attract more young people. Broadcast TV should help that. Could you hold on 1 second? Hello?
Yeah, sure. I'll hold on.
I got to take this call. If you want to ring me back, feel free. Okay?
All right. Thank you.
If you got enough, you got
The Boxing Voice.